वालेकुम, मैं डॉक्टर फैब आपसे एक डायरेक्ट लाइव बात कर रही हूँ कराची से, पाकिस्तान से। ये ग्लोबल रिसर्च ये एक जर्नल है, ये इन्वेस्टिगेटिव जर्नलिज्म करते हैं और इन्होंने ये आर्टिकल लिखा है जो कि 2 दिन पहले पब्लिश हुआ है, जो कि मैंने ट्विटर पे शेयर किया है। इस वक्त मैं आपसे लाइव डिस्कस कर रही हूँ। इस आर्टिकल का नाम है हु मेड कोरोना वायरस, वाज इट द यूएस, इजराइल और चाइना। तो ये आर्टिकल लिखा है फिलिप जेराल्डी और इसमें लिखा है द मोस्ट कॉमनली रिपोर्टेड मेन स्ट्रीम मीडिया अकाउंट ऑफ द क्रिएशन of the coronavirus suggests that it was derived from an animal-born microorganism found in a wild bat that was consumed by an ethnic Chinese resident of Wuhan. But there appears to be some evidence to dispute that in that adjacent provinces in China, where wild bats are more numerous, have not experienced major outbreaks of the disease. Because of that and other factors, there has also been considerable speculation that the coronavirus did not occur naturally through mutation, but rather was produced in a laboratory, possibly as a biological warfare agent. Several reports suggest that there are components of the virus that are related to HIV that could not have occurred naturally. If it is correct that the virus had either been developed or even produced to be weaponized, it would further suggest that it escaped from the Wuhan Institute of Virology lab and into the animal and human population could have been accidental. Technicians who work in such environments are aware that leaks from laboratories occur frequently. There is, of course, inevitably another theory. There has been some speculation that as the Trump administration has been constantly raising the issue of growing Chinese global competitiveness as a direct threat to American national security and economic dominance, it might be possible that Washington has created and unleashed the virus in a bid to bring Beijing's growing economy and military might down a few notches. It is, to be sure, hard to believe that even the Trump White House would do something so reckless, but there are precedents for that type of behavior. In 2005 to 2009, the American and Israeli governments secretly developed a computer virus called Stuxnet, which was intended to damage the control and operating systems of Iranian computers being used in that country's nuclear research program. Admittedly, Stuxnet was intended to damage computers, not to infect or kill human beings, but concerns that it would propagate and move to infect computers outside Iran proved to be accurate as it spread to thousands of PCs outside Iran in countries as far-flung as China, Germany, Kazakhstan, and Indonesia. Inevitably, there is an Israeli story that just might shed some light on what has been going on in China. Scientists at Israel's Galilee Research Institute are now claiming that they will have a vaccine against coronavirus in a few weeks, which will be ready for distribution and use within 90 days. The institute is claiming that it has been engaged in 4 years of research on avian coronavirus funded by Israel's ministries of science and technology and agriculture. They're claiming that the virus is similar to the version that has infected humans, which has led to breakthroughs in development through genetic manipulation. But some scientists are skeptical that a new vaccine could be produced so quickly to prevent a virus that existed only recently. They also have warned that even if a vaccine is developed, it would normally have to be tested for side effects, a process that normally takes over a year and includes using it on infected humans. If one even considers it possible that the US had a hand in creating the coronavirus at what remains of its once extensive biological weapons research center in Fort Detrick, Maryland, it is very likely that Israel was a partner in the project. Helping to develop the virus would also explain how Israeli scientists have been able to claim success at creating a vaccine so quickly, possibly because the virus and a treatment for it were developed simultaneously. In any event, there are definitive political ramifications to the appearance of the coronavirus, and not only in China. In the United States, President Donald Trump is already being blamed for lying about the virus, and there are various scenarios in mainstream publications speculating over the possible impact on the election in 2020. If the economy sinks together with the stock market, it will reflect badly on Trump, whether or not he's actually at fault. If containment and treatment of the disease itself in the US does not go well, there could also be a considerable backlash, particularly as the Democrats have been promoting improving healthcare. One pundit argues, however, that disease and a sinking economy will not matter as long as there is turnaround before the election, but a lot can happen in the next 8 months. And then there is the national security foreign policy issue as seen from both Jerusalem and Washington. It is difficult to explain why coronavirus has hit one country in particular other than China very severely. That country is Iran, the often cited enemy of both the US and Israel. The number of Iran's coronavirus cases continues to increase with more positive tests confirmed among government officials last Saturday. There were 205 new coronavirus cases, bringing the government claim total to 593, with 43 fatalities, though unofficial hospital reports suggest that the deaths are actually well over 100. That's the highest number of deaths from the virus outside of China. No less than 5 Iranian members of parliament have also tested positive amid a growing number of officials that have contracted the disease. Iran's Vice President Massoumeh Ebtekar and Deputy Health Minister Iraj Harishi had also previously been confirmed with the virus. And you know that today we were notified that they passed away. One of the Iranian ministers passed away. The usual suspects in the US are delighted to learn of the Iranian deaths. Mark Dubowitz, executive director of the Washington-based but Israeli government-connected Foundation for Defense of Democracies, boasted on Twitter Tuesday that coronavirus has done what American economic sanctions could not: shut down non-oil exports. An Iranian government spokesman responded that it's shameful and downright inhuman to cheer for a deadly virus to spread and enjoy seeing people suffer for it. Dubowitz followed up with an additional taunt that Tehran has spread terrorism in the Middle East and now it's spreading the coronavirus. So you have your choice. Coronavirus occurred naturally, or it came out of a lab in China itself, or even from Israel or the US. If one suspects Israel and or the United States, the intent clearly would have been to create a biological weapon that would damage two nations that have been designated as enemies. But the coronavirus cannot be contained easily, and it is clear that many thousands of people will die from it. Unfortunately, as with Stuxnet, once the genie is out of the bottle, it is devilishly hard to induce it to go back in. So this is a former CIA counterterrorism specialist. This is a military intelligence officer, Mr. Philip Giraldi, who served 19 years overseas in Turkey, Italy, Germany, and Spain, and who has penned down this article in the Global Research Journal. I will put in the link to this in this, over here. He's also the executive director of the Council for the National Interest, a Washington-based advocacy group that seeks to encourage and promote a U.S. foreign policy in the Middle East that is consistent with American values and interests. So basically, he's a good American who believes in the American Constitution, who's trying to implement the American Constitution, and who has done a very good job in trying to expose the US-Israeli nexus that could have precipitated the coronavirus to damage the Iranian economy after having damaged the Chinese economy. But what we are basically not realizing, and what this guy has so amicably mentioned, is that this virus is not going to stay in one place. This is a genie that once gets out of the bottle, is hard to go back in the bottle. So the virus is out. It's now in America. It's killing Americans. It's killing American people. And the Democrats are on the back of US President Trump to try to do something about it. There are not enough testing kits. And how is this all related to the fact that we are at the epic peak, I would say the climax of the conflicts that are happening both in Afghanistan and in Kashmir? They're both connected. I've been saying this many times. I'm saying this again. I'm going to reiterate for the 100th time that both the Afghanistan and the Kashmir conflicts are very much the same conflict now. Why is that? Because the people who liberated Azad Kashmir were sitting not in Kashmir, they were sitting in Afghanistan. The Tallibans, the tribal Afghans were the ones who came to Kashmir in 1947-48, and they were the ones to liberate the portion of the Azad Kashmir at that time. And these people have been engaged in a very deadly battle for the last 20 years by the US forces after having defeated the USSR forces. And now the time is to retreat. Now the time is to bring the US forces back because of the American pressure, because the Americans who are going to be voting for the new president do not want any kind of wars in their names anymore. So Trump knows that politically, if he wants to survive as the next president again in the US, he will have to end wars. He will have to show some kind of a pro-peace effort. So that is why he's decided to push for the premature and incomplete Afghan peace deals with the US that we saw like almost a few days back. But things have actually gotten worse since the deal was written down, and there's a reason behind it. Because it was not done right. What they did was, what Pompeo did was, who is basically a puppet of Israel, he tried to keep the interests of Israel secure and safe in the Afghanistan region by doing covert deals all the time with the political opponents of the Tallibans, which means money, which means a lot of other forces that are working in the region against the Tallibans, who are trying to secure the sovereignty of their country. That's what they're doing. They basically control 70 to 75% of Afghanistan. That is the majority of Afghanistan, compared to just the Kabul region, which is under the administration of Ghani. And even within Kabul, he does not have enough, I would say, political clout. Even his Afghan forces are not under him, and they're giving up weapons all the time. So he has no control in Afghanistan. And when Pompeo did this covert agreement with Ghani, while he did an agreement with the Tallibans, he basically showed that he is not honest and sincere with the Constitution of the United States and with what the US Congress wants and with what the American values stand for, that this ex-CIA expert and officer has penned down in his article that I just dictated to you. The Americans, they don't want any more war with the Taliban. They have issues. Obviously, they do not condone to the violence that is exhibited by the Taliban, but when you talk to them, when you explain to them that they're doing this because they want to try to protect their country against any foreign occupations, this is in self-defense. They feel attacked. They feel that they're in a state of attack from all these foreign countries, and they're just trying to prevent their country from getting attacked and occupied. So this is self-defense that anybody would do, that even the US would do if someone tried to attack US. So this is their response. Americans understand this point. The American public understands this point, and they are willing to give the Taliban another, I would say, opportunity to partner with them, like they did when it was time for the USSR. And so this is something that Trump understands. But the problem is this: that Trump, even no matter how sincere he is, he's not running the show. At one point, there are like 3, 4 different governments that are running parallel in the US trying to manage things. And there are so many intrusions and there's so many interferences. There's so many interventions. At one point, there's the MIC induced, sponsored, controlled ISIS that just attacked the Ghani regime. And we all know what ISIS stands for. It is protecting the interests of Israel, Greater Israel, which is a strong nexus with India. So whatever happens in favor of Ghani happens for Modi, for India, for Kashmir, and for the Hindutva movement, and for the Greater Israel, which are technically one big conglomerate right now. So let's say you have one corporation chanting Hindutva, Hindutva, and you have the other corporation chanting Greater Israel, the chosen people of God, and all these things. Now they have joined together in this mega big giant conglomerate, big corporation, the Hindutva, the Greater Israel Corporation. And even though Trump does want no war in Afghanistan, he still has ties with Israel through Kushner, through Ivanka, who's his favorite daughter. So she's technically running the show. He even allowed Kushner to write down the Middle East, deal of the century that everybody rejected. But having said that, he's still looking at his ratings, he's looking at his polls, and he's realizing that if he did not do a good job in getting people out from Afghanistan safely, he's doomed. He does not have any standing in the upcoming elections. So it is very much a politically motivated move that Trump did. He made this promise that he's going to get the forces out of Afghanistan. There's a lot of pressure from the American people on the government to get the forces out of Afghanistan to end this 20-year-old war. But then there are these people, there are these puppets of Israel who are trying to secure the interests of Israel at the same time. So what we are seeing are these so-called spoilers, like Shamim Qureshi said, they're going to be spoilers. Why are they spoilers? Because we have these puppets of Israel who are not wanting to secure the interests of the American people, to secure the interests of the American Constitution, to do what the American people want, but they want to do what Israel wants, what the military-industrial complex wants, and what the anti-Iranian lobbies want. So this is why this was such a big screw-up, that a week into this peace signing treaty, we are looking at epic escalation of violence in Afghanistan. And we are seeing violence from all sides. Tallibans are upset because Ghani said he's not going to release the 5,000 prisoners. And then the US forces retaliate, they start bombing, forget about all the deals they made. And then ISIS comes in and starts attacking, Abdullah, a rally that has Abdullah in it. So all kinds of, everybody is like, okay, it's my license to go ahead and give it a last shot and do whatever I want to do over there. This is not how you get peace in a country. This is the country. This is not even a little small county we're talking about. These are millions of people over here we are talking about. And the simple rule of any war is that when you end a war, you do not talk to 500 different groups. Whenever you end a war, I'm a physician, and if I walk into a room and I need to talk to a big family of a patient who's very sick, who's very critical, and I have to do a lot of explanation, the first rule that I'm told is to address the family and to ask them who is the one who represents the patient's interests, who is the one who's got the medical power of attorney of the patient, who is legally entitled to represent the patient. And instead of talking to 101 different family members, 101 different times, you talk to that one key person and you explain what is going on with the patient, what you diagnose the patient with, and how you're going to manage that patient. And then that one medical power of attorney decides if he agrees to your plan of action or not. The problem that Pompeo has led Trump into, that even Lindsey Graham has led Trump into, is that he has made contracts with 101 different people, and that has led to 101 different narratives, 101 different plans, and all these plans are right now clashing. They're like this. And so it's a mess. And who's suffering? The Afghans are suffering. The US forces are suffering. The American people are suffering. Everybody who has even 1% link to the Afghanistan conflict is suffering. Pakistanis are suffering. Everybody in the region is suffering. And so this is my simple advice to Trump is that you gotta shut down your ears and open your eyes and look at what is going on right now. You need to find out, technically there is no way that the US forces can get out of Afghanistan safely, peacefully, if there is not 100% cooperation from the Afghanistan Talibans. They control 70 to 75% of the region of that area. This is not a joke we are talking about. And for 20 years, the US government has been trying to bomb them, to defeat them, to make them give up, but they are not giving up. US has lost people, US has lost civilians, US has lost forces, US has lost its soldiers and $1 trillion economy in this war. And the US does not have that magic wand that would convert this defeat into a victory tomorrow. That's not going to happen. The history of Afghanistan is such that once you fight for these tribal areas, you're stuck there forever. USSR was very strong. It had to give up. And now US has to give up. And the most important thing when you give up is that you make sure that the region, once you leave, is peaceful, not for the people that are living over there, not for the region where that place is, but also for the rest of the world and for the American people. And the only way to do that is if Trump makes a deal with the main guy. Instead of making 10 different deals with 10 different small chefs in the kitchen, Trump has to engage the head chef in the kitchen. The head chef, the manager, the main guy that is currently controlling Afghanistan is Tallibans. And the one thing that I need to let you know is that you cannot say that you do not acknowledge, recognize the Islamic State of Afghanistan and yet write down an agreement. US has no choice but to officially recognize the Islamic State of Afghanistan under the ruling regime of Taliban. And this is something that Pakistan should do right away. The Pakistan government, Imran Khan, Shah Saab, and our Chief of Army Staff should officially acknowledge the Islamic State of Afghanistan under the ruling regime of Talibans. This is something that we have to do for enduring peace, because once you engage this head chef, the Tallibans, that yes, you are in control, yes, you are governing this country, yes, you are responsible for whatever happens from tomorrow onwards. It is your government, you are the ruler, now you are the manager, you are the head person, you are the in charge. Whatever happens, happens under you now. You have the power and you have the control, you have the autonomy to manage the entire nation and manage the entire country. And now if something happened to an American It will be under you. So if you do that, if Trump does that with the Taliban's, I can guarantee you, Taliban's will ensure that they provide 100% security to every American in Afghanistan. And they will make sure that ISIS is not a problem anymore, that ISIS does not flourish, because it is their country. They are living over there. It is their responsibility to guard the people over there. So Trump should let Taliban's manage everything, give them the autonomy, give them the control, and then how they behave with Ghani, how they behave with their political opponents, it is not Trump's business. It is not even Pakistan's business. It is definitely not India's business. It is the country of Taliban's. It is the land of Taliban's. Afghanistan is a sovereign nation. Taliban's won this war. And if we want to fix this mess forever, for durable peace, peace for the US, peace for the rest of the world, peace for Pakistan, peace for Afghans, above all, we gotta give them the control. And then if something happens, then you can ask them, then you can say that we gave you the control, we gave you everything, you have the control, you have the power, you have the autonomy, and we eliminated all kinds of spoilers from our sides. We recognized you, we officially recognized you as the Islamic state of Afghanistan, Islamic Republic of Afghanistan under the Taliban regime. And now if there's still violence happening against the American people or the Afghans, then it is your responsibility. Then you're going to be blamed. And I guarantee you, I can guarantee you on a stamp paper, literally, that there will be no violence. Talibans who could defeat USSR, Talibans who could defeat US with the best weapons, with the most advanced strategic weapons you can think of. If they could defeat the forces, the most advanced, the best armies of the world, if the Talibans could defeat them, what makes you think that they cannot defeat ISIS, that they cannot defeat all these violent factions that are erupting like mushrooms in this conflict zone? You give them an opportunity, you give them a chance. If US had worked with these same Talibans before 9/11, in the time of the USSR war, there was a time geographies change, people change, ruling regimes change. There was a time when Pakistan did not have good diplomatic relationship with Russia. Now we have good relationship with Russia. There will be a time, I can guarantee you, there will be a time one day when US and Russia will have good relationships too. This is how the whole world is evolving. We are changing, everybody's changing. The one thing that is predictable about the world right now is that everything is changing. Nothing is predictable. That is the only thing predictable about everything. So we gotta give Taliban another chance, another opportunity of peace. We should give them control, we should give them autonomy, give them the governance, because they earned it. They got victory. They are controlling 70 to 75% of the region of Afghanistan, which is a big deal. If you had elections today, if we had fair elections today, they will win with a sweeping victory because they're controlling a large territory of Afghanistan. And you can rig elections, but what's going to be the result? You can keep on changing the dummies in the position of presidency of Afghanistan, but what's going to be the result? You will keep on changing these dummies one after another, and they'll keep on getting rejected by the Taliban, by the people who are following the Taliban. The violence is not going to end, and it will be next to impossible for the US forces to survive within Afghanistan, let alone to be able to get out of it safely. So it is very important for Trump to realize this, that he's got to do what is the best for the American people, for himself also as a politician, and what is best right now in terms of, he's a businessman, he knows, he's a shrewd businessman, he's done so many businesses. he should know now that he has to mind his own business, that he has to give the Taliban the autonomy, the governance of Afghanistan. He has to officially recognize them as the rulers, the ruling regime of Afghanistan, and then he should just mind his business when they manage Ghani, when they manage their political opponents. It is not his business. There is no need for US to intervene in the mess that Modi is trying to create, use the land, as a proxy ground against Pakistan. He does not have to be part of it. He does not. He has to get the American interests out of that mudsling, literally, because it is just not worth it. It is not in American national interest to kind of intervene in the mess that Modi has planted in Afghanistan, abusing the land of Afghans as a proxy ground against Pakistan for Kashmir. You don't want to be part of it. This is not your business. Let the Taliban manage Modi. Let the Taliban manage ISIS. Let the Taliban manage Ghani. It is not the business of Americans. The one thing I learned, I've lived in US for 20 years, and the one thing I learned from the Americans is that when the time comes, and I think this is the reason why they are so successful, they're still a superpower, that when the time comes, when the need arises, and they know that this person or this organization can do the job, they will give that person. And this is something that is the reason behind the success of US in coming to the point of being a superpower. So this is my advice right now. Give them the autonomy, give them the control, make them the ruling regime, acknowledge them, give them respect, and they will protect your people, they will protect your country, they will protect your forces, your children against any violence. And this will be a win-win situation, not just for the Afghans, this will be a win-win situation for the region, this will be a win-win situation for the US and for the Americans above all. So this is my short piece of advice. And then coming to Kashmir. Kashmir is right now, like I said, the Kashmir conflict and the Afghanistan conflicts are now one conflict. And the reason for that is because Modi has been they're not scared of Pakistan as much as they're scared of the Taliban. And they want to keep the Taliban engaged till the last moment because they're scared that the Taliban will come and take Kashmir away from them, because it was the Afghan tribal leaders that liberated Kashmir in 1947-48, the Azad Kashmir that right now we have, that is not under Indian administration, that is the independent Kashmir, that is affiliated with Pakistan. So they are scared. They are so scared and fearful of Taliban. And this is why they are abusing Ghani, and Ghani is allowing himself to be abused for the sake of Modi's interests, for the sake of Indian interests against his own country. And this is what Taliban don't like. But then again, it's none of US business. They should let Taliban manage Ghani. They should let Taliban manage their political opponents. It is their headache. It is their job. Let them take care of it. But they gotta give them the control, the respect, the acknowledgement first. And so the Kashmir movement right now, in terms of human rights, I do not have any kind of expectation from the world that they're going to do anything tangible for the Kashmiris. If we kept on crying as Pakistanis and Kashmiris that we are in pain and we are persecuted, subjugated, we've been doing that for the last 72 years, and nobody cares. Nobody cares about that. I said a long time ago that this is not how you can liberate Kashmir. Kashmir cannot be liberated with tears and trolls. I just made a video the other day about that. You cannot shed tears and troll these people and expect Kashmir to be liberated. You need a strategy. You need a military strategy. You need strong work on the ground, which our army has been doing for years now. They have strong roots in the Indian occupied Kashmir. And within 24 hours, if they have good logistic support, they can liberate Kashmir. The only problem that I have over here is that it is not just Kashmir now that we're talking about. We're talking about a lot of Indian Muslims now who are the victims of the Hindutva conglomerate, the Greater Israel and the Hindutva conglomerate that I mentioned to you about in the beginning. So this is not just one one page that we're looking at. This is a book. This is a chapter. Like if I had a book of conflicts, I have the Palestinian conflict, again connected Greater Israel, expansion agenda, Afghanistan, they want to do Pashtunistan. And now they have a conglomerate with the Hindutwas, and the Hindutwas are kind of, wanting their Hindu land in the region. So it's not just like, you have to look at the whole picture. You can't just say, okay, this is one isolated thing that I'm going to focus on. No, you cannot focus on it because you need to take everything together. What's going on in Iran with the coronavirus, you need to take that and do everything with everything. What's happening in China with the coronavirus, people are dying over there. So many people died. The economy is now literally, it's really crashed. Why? I mean, think about it. China is like, who would have to worry about China? India. India has to worry about China. So who would benefit the most from a crashing economy of China? India. And which conflict would suffer the most from Chinese crash? Kashmir. So why aren't people talking about Kashmir and Israel anymore? They're not talking about Israel. They're not talking about Indian Muslims. They're not talking about Kashmiri Muslims. They are just talking about coronavirus. But they are not realizing that there's a reason why this coronavirus was disseminated in the world to crack down China, to crack down Iran, and to crash the economies that were challenging the status quo. So this is something, we're just looking at the initial picture. We're not looking behind the picture. We're not reading between the lines. And that is why we suffer. We have to connect the dots over here. We have to connect all these conflicts. The Palestinian conflict is connected to the Kashmir conflict because the aggressors in both these conflicts are now working together. They're united. The problem is this, that the people who feel sympathetically about these two conflicts are not united. They are being disunited. They are being dismembered. They're being literally spread apart. Look at what happened between Erdogan and Putin and Assad in the last 1 week. Thank God, there's a peace treaty. But they were neck to neck against each other. So this is what I'm trying to tell you, that all these conflicts are so interconnected that our strategy has to be interconnected. And we have to unite as a world who feels for the Kashmiris, who feels for the Palestinians, who feels for the victims of these conflicts. We have to work together now because our enemies are working together. This Greater Israel and Hindutva Conglomerate, unfortunately, this has become very powerful and this has become very strong that Pakistan alone cannot take care of. We have to unite, and it doesn't matter if you're not a Muslim nation. It doesn't matter if you're in US. It doesn't matter if you're in Europe. It doesn't matter if you're in Russia, China. If you're in any other country of the world. If you feel that what is going on to the Indian Muslims, what is going on to the Kashmiris, what is going on to the Palestinians is wrong, then you need to listen to us. You need to listen to what I'm trying to tell you. Then you need to work together because all these aggressors who are precipitating these conflicts, they're united. They have a huge, powerful, strong, logistically supported, strategically empowered conglomerate. It's a huge corporation with presence in almost every country of the world. And what do we have? Some tears and some trolls? Is that how we're going to be able to defeat this conglomerate? No. This is not how we'll be able to defeat it. Modi is empowered on purpose. Modi is energized on purpose. And we have to understand that we cannot defeat it alone. We have to unite together as one. I'm also appealing to the Gulf countries as well. I'm appealing to Iranian administration, Chinese administration. I'm appealing to and everybody, regardless of your age, regardless of your religion, regardless of your nationality, regardless of your, wherever you're from. I know there are lots of Americans also who are working for Palestinians, who are working for Kashmiris, who feel even there are lots of Indians right now who don't like what's happening to the Indian Muslims and the Kashmiris and who already been supporting the Palestinians. So I'm also appealing to them as well that we have to, and then there's a lot of Jews also who are supporting the cause of Palestinians against Israelis, who are supporting Kashmiris, who are supporting peace with Iran. So this is some, we gotta be organized. We have to be organized. We have to be united. We have to make our own strong conglomerate of peace. And we got to do it at the earliest possible because these people have become so desperate that now they're releasing viruses, deadly viruses, and they're killing people with bioweapons. So we got to act fast. We cannot just sit on it. We got to act fast. That's all I have to say. I hope it all makes sense. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.